The college football world got some news that we can delight in. Deion Sanders has let us know that both Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn should be ready to play against Arizona on Saturday. And I got to tell you, man, I was really worried about not just Colorado, but Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn and what we might be talking about with this program going into this week after what we saw against Kansas State, where they lost 4 of their top 6 receivers during the game and still managed to make it a ball game and led there toward the end. Of course, Kansas State made a really great comeback, gritty win for them, put themselves back in contention to play in the Big 12 championship. But I thought that what we really were going to miss is Travis Hunter's opportunity to walk out with the Heisman, because at this point, it feels like all Travis Hunter has to do is finish the season to win the Heisman Trophy because the production will be there. I know that many Heisman voters don't watch like you and I watch. The pool is quite diluted with a bunch of people that only watch primetime college football games and really aren't into the weeds like we are. However, we do know that they will look at receiving touchdowns and receiving yards and receptions and INTs and tackles, and they'll make a judgment on that. I think what I have seen from Travis Hunter is more than enough. That man is doing something that we have never seen done in college football. He is playing more snaps than anybody else has played in this sport since we started playing it on television. You just don't see folks going back and forth from offense to defense like he's going from offense to defense, and then being a star player on both sides of the ball. He is both your best wide receiver and your best cornerback. That is not supposed to be a thing that is happening past high school, right? And usually if you're doing it in high school, you're playing safety and quarterback, or you are playing 8-man or 6-man. It's very rarely happening on a very good 11-man football team because you don't have to. But it isn't even that they have to at Colorado. It's that Prime wanted to allow for Travis to do this. And I don't think the Prime gets enough credit for allowing Travis Hunter to know what Travis Hunter is capable of and trusting him to do what he says he's going to do. They have a different schedule for him. I think that it's very much like what Jimmy Johnson was doing at Miami, where he says, I'm going to treat you all fairly, but I'm not going to treat you all the same. There are different rules for how Travis Hunter recovers versus everybody else, and I think that part should be obvious. It's not unlike when Bill Russell would sit out some practices and be reading the paper. Get asked, at Red Auerbach get asked, why does Bill have to miss practice? Because he's Bill Russell and you are not. That's why. That's what we're dealing with here, right? Travis has stepped up in every way, and every time we expect something to happen, he's there to make it happen, okay? That's a star player. Why I was so excited about this game in particular is that it's going to feature 2 of the best quarterback-wide receiver combos that we've seen over the last 2 years. Noah Fafita, Taratoa McMillan at Arizona, and Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter at Colorado. I think this game has the potential to be an offensive classic. It might not be 2016 Oklahoma, Texas Tech with Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield, where we saw Patrick Mahomes go for 734 yards, but it's got the potential to have 2 300-yard passers and 2 100-yard receivers off the rip. And you know what? If it gets out of hand, I would not be shocked to find out that somebody throws for 500 yards, somebody throws for 400 yards, and you got a 200-yard receiver on one side or both sides of the ball on this one. Both of those guys have the capacity to take the ball, to take the top off the defense. Where I am so excited is the idea of Taratoa McMillan lining up against Travis Hunter every single play. I have not seen but one wide receiver really get after Travis Hunter, and that was Alec Ironmanner last year, who went for 294 on 13 catches against Colorado secondary, but he did a lot of great work against Travis Hunter. If you're Taratoa McMillan and you would like to throw down a marker as the best wide receiver in this year's group of outstanding wide receivers, doing it against Travis Hunter is going to get you pretty far, right? I also wonder how often they're going to try to get that matchup. If I'm Arizona and I'm playing strategically, I'm going to try to find matchups that work for Taratoa where he's going to win 100% of the time, right? That means you probably move him inside. That means you put him in motion. You find out what the defense's rules are and how they're going to adjust to what you give them. And you find the favorable matchup for your guy to go to work on people. And you force Travis Hunter to travel, right? If you can do that, you might be able to make something happen. But what we saw against BYU was if Noah Fafita couldn't really get the ball to Taratoa McMillan, There wasn't really much else he could do with the football for an explosive play. And this is a team that very much needs to throw the football almost as much as Colorado needs to throw the football to be successful. I think we're going to find out real quick, fast, and in a hurry why I am so enthusiastic about Travis Hunter playing wide receiver in the NFL and playing spot duty at corner. I don't want to see him play as many snaps in the NFL as I've seen him play in college, mostly because I want his productivity to continue to be and to last. I don't believe that anybody, let alone a superhuman, could continue to produce the way that Travis is producing for a decade plus, right? You're playing twice as many snaps, which means your shelf life is half as much. However, I would like to also mention we are in a moment in college football that is outstanding, but not for reasons that people are talking about, right? Like, people are upset about what the college football playoff has wrought, name, image, and likeness, transfer portal, all the money that needs to be paid out, and not really knowing your football team until you're about 6 weeks in. But what they are failing to also see is just how many quantum leaps we have made in player development alone. Think about it this way. Trevor Lawrence comes off the bench in 2018 to unseat Kelly Bryant, who had led Clemson to a college football playoff and led that team to the national championship as a true freshman. And since then, we have seen more true freshmen step up and play right away and continue to be great. Think about it. Dylan Raiola would be a true freshman we'd be talking about till we were blue in the face 10 years ago because we hadn't seen true freshmen show up at a place like Nebraska, get them off to a 5-1 start with an opportunity to unseat an undefeated Indiana later this week, do what he's doing. And he's not been bad or he's been great. It's that Jeremiah Smith has been outstanding. It's that Ryan Williams is from another planet. It's that Ryan Wingo is making plays. We are seeing more guys ready to play right away than we've ever seen before. And that is in large part the way that we're producing football players, the way that we are developing an attitude toward, are you good? I don't give a damn about no red shirt anymore because, frankly, you redshirted kid, you could lose them. So if you got somebody you know can play, you don't get to put them on the shelf for 2 years and then unleash them on an unsuspecting college football fan base, right? You have to play him. And because you have to play him, we get to see him. I can only imagine what it would have been like for us. You know what? Here, I do imagine what it been like. Jeremiah Smith reminds me a lot of what they were saying about Randy Moss when he was at Florida State. Danny Cannell will tell you till he is blue in the face. The things that Randy Moss was doing in practice, he wanted to see in the game. And he would go to Bobby Bowden and he would say, Coach, we got to play Randy. And he would say, I promised the president or athletic director that I would not play him, because of the trouble that he got into previously, didn't want any of the smoke to still be there. You couldn't do that today. Randy Moss would be eaten right away at a place like Florida State, at a place like Ohio State, because that's what Jeremiah Smith is doing. He is eaten right away. That, I think, is the comp. That is the real change in college football. You can't afford to put a guy like Randy Moss on the shelf anymore. You have to play him. And you're not necessarily going to have a guy missing football games for getting into trouble anymore. It's going to have to be real bad for folks to miss football games. They are suspending people for halves, for some games, but for the most part, you're going to play. Ollie Gordon got into trouble. Mike Gundy was very loud about he's going to play. Trevor Etienne forced to sit out a game. He's still playing, right? Today, we are much more geared toward what the NFL mindset of being a pro is. Until you make this a problem, and it is something we can't fix, this is what it's going to be. But for now, I'm going to bask in the glory of getting to know Shedeur Sanders is going to be throwing past Travis Hunter. Noah Fifita is going to be throwing past Teratoa McMillan. And we could have us a barn burner on Saturday.